There is no other flyweight right now, at least currently in the UFC top 15, that has more drama surrounding them than that of Manel Kape. However, he backs up that drama with his big, flashy performances inside of the cage, and contradictory to his style and the aura around him is the silent assassin Asu Almabayev, who is accepting this fight on short notice and replacing Brandon Royval, the number 1 ranked flyweight in the world. Now he gets the biggest opportunity of his career to enter toward title contention, and Manel Kape is just looking to finally get into the cage and finally get a crack at the flyweight championship of the world. Something's got to give at UFC Vegas 103. The star boy, Manel Kape, 31 years old, right in his prime, 20 victories, with 17 of them coming by way of stoppage. Most recently, back at UFC Fight Night, Covington versus Buckley in Tampa, Florida, where he got a TKO finish over Bruno Silva. His only other fight in 2024, boy, oh boy, do you want to talk about drama. Nothing more filled with drama in 2024 from a fight perspective than that of which him versus Muhammad Mokaev. They were clashing with each other at the Apex. They were clashing with each other leading into fight week, and it all kind of delivered in a very lackluster dull fight where Muhammad Mokaev will get the victory, remain undefeated, but then be released from the promotion. But outside of that loss, dating back to August of 2021, Manel Kape has won 4 of his last 5 bouts. The only loss is that one to Mokaev. And of course, we have to talk about how he started his UFC career 0-2 in February and March of 2021. Both close decisions to Alexandre Pantoja, the current champion of the world at flyweight, and a split decision, an even closer decision, to Matheus Nicolau. So in the year of 2021, where Manel Kape finally made his long-awaited UFC debut, he would fight 4 times from February to December, starting 0-2, then finishing with 2 huge knockouts over Ode Osborne and Zhalgas Zhumagulov. But ever since then, that is where the inactivity has kicked in a tad bit more. He would only fight 1 time in 2022, albeit it was a victory over David Dvorak, and only once in 2023, and again, it was at least a victory, this time a decision over Felipe dos Santos. But it's safe to say that no other flyweight has had more fights canceled from 2022 to 2025 than the star boy himself. He was supposed to fight in April of 2022 and June of 2022, both of those fights canceled. He was supposed to fight 3 times in 2023, Alex Perez, Davison Figueiredo, and Kai Kara France, all canceled. Twice in 2024 against the same man in what would have been a rematch against Matheus Nicolau, and technically once in 2025 because this main event at UFC Vegas 103 was supposed to be against the former title challenger Brandon Raw Dog Royval. Royval had to withdraw due to injury. In steps the short notice replacement Asu Almabayev. And while I'm not saying that Manel Kape's hands are completely clean in all of those canceled bouts, as he has had some weight miss issues sprinkled throughout, most of them have been on the side of his opponents, whether that be injury, illness, or weight misses. So really, what's potentially held Manel Kape back from already challenging for a title in this flyweight division is all of those canceled bouts. So if he can have a clean 2025, I wouldn't be surprised if he finds himself standing across the cage from a former opponent, Alexandre Pantoja, except this time it would be with gold on the line. But he can't reach that point unless he halts the momentum of Asu Almabayev. Asu has not lost a fight since April of 2017, which is fitting because he now finds himself on a 17-fight win streak. He crashed into the UFC flyweight division in August of 2023 with a submission over longtime veteran Ode Osborne, and since then has rallied off 3 more victories, amassing a 4-0 total record so far in the UFC. The 3 victories in 2024 were decision wins over CJ Vergara, Jose Johnson, and Matheus Nicolau. That most recent bout, decision victory over Nicolau, came in October of 2024 on the UFC Fight Night headlined by Anthony Hernandez and Michel Pereira. Similar to Manel, Asu is also 31 years old, both fighters in their prime. Asu Almabayev, 21 victories and just 2 defeats. He has 12 finishes and 9 decision victories. Asu is known for his high pressure and pace and absolutely melts his opponents with his grappling and wrestling, averaging over 5 takedowns per 15 minutes. So it's pretty much a complete clash of styles here because yes, Manel Kape is versatile and well-rounded in all facets of mixed martial arts, but he always looks to start and end the fight on the feet. It just so happens that sometimes he finds his way to a submission with the power of his hands, putting his opponents to the mat. I think this is a huge test for both guys because for Manel Kape, he just wants to finally get his crack at a UFC flyweight championship fight, prove that all of the hype he had coming over from Rizin as a former champion in that promotion can carry over in the UFC and that he can be the best flyweight on planet Earth. And for Asu Almabayev, can his grappling and wrestling continue to push him forward as he climbs the ranks at 125 pounds, now against the most experienced fighter in terms of resumes that he has fought so far in Manel Kape? Can Asu get Manel Kape down? Can he hold him down? And if he can't, how will he fare on the feet? Because it seems that on paper, there is going to be a vast discrepancy in the striking skill sets here. I want to hear from you all in the comments below. What are your predictions for this fight? Will Manel Kape get another victory and maybe, just maybe, solidify himself as a #1 contender to Alexandre Pantoja's throne? Or will Asu Almabayev come in on short notice, get the biggest victory of his career, and crash in to title contention in this flyweight division in what maybe could be just one win away from a title shot? And now that we are done with the main event discussion, let's touch on some other notable fights before we head on out of here today. The co-main event is Cody Brundage versus the Cuban Missile Crisis, that is Julian Marquez. It is highly unlikely that that fight sees the scorecards, potentially not even round number 2. The veteran and Kelvin Gastelum's twin brother, Nasrat Haqparast, is taking on the electric factory that is Esteban Ribovics, who's coming off of one of the best fights of 2024. That was back at Noche UFC in September, where he had a split decision victory over Daniel Zellhuber. He's 3-1 so far in the UFC, 14-1 overall, only 28 years old, and has finished 12 of his 14 wins. A fight that is going to definitely slide under the radar is the undefeated 10-0 Hyder Amil taking on the 14-0 surging William Gomis. Gomis is 4-0 in the UFC since making his debut in September of 2022 and is coming off of a huge victory over Joe Anderson Brito back in September of 2024. And the Hurricane Hyder Amil, 10-0 overall, 2-0 in the UFC, and has finished 7 of those 10 wins. This man is must-watch TV. The undefeated 9-0 Danny Barlow is taking on the Brit that is Sam Patterson. Barlow is a Contender Series alum and also 2-0 in the UFC. He's finished 6 of those 9 victories and is just 29 years old, right now entering his prime. Sam Patterson started his UFC career 0-1 after getting a contract on the Contender Series in 2022, but he did go 2-0 in 2024 with submission victories over Johan Lanessi and Kiefer Crosby. This man has seen the judges' scorecards just twice in 15 professional fights. And it's worth noting that back-to-back we have 2 fights that feature 4 absolute dogs. In the featherweight division, Ricardo Ramos, the longtime veteran, is taking on Chepe Mariscal, and in the bantamweight division, Douglas Silva de Andrade is taking on John Castaneda. So I want to hear from you in the comments below. What are your predictions for UFC Vegas 103, specifically that main event between Manel Kape and Asu Almabayev, and what are some of your thoughts on the remainder of the card? At the end of the day, the name value doesn't matter as long as the fights deliver, and that's what I'm hoping happens this coming Saturday to start out the month of March. Alongside your predictions and thoughts on this card, be sure to sprinkle in some of your bets that you're placing as well. If you are new to the channel and you enjoyed this breakdown of UFC Vegas 103, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel as we continue to chase the goal of 1,000 subscribers in 2025. You can also expect to see recaps of the most meaningful results from every card, and I give my thoughts and opinions on MMA news and fight announcements. You can join the community on social media at Verbal Spar MMA on X, Instagram, and TikTok, and you can follow on your favorite audio listening platforms such as Spotify and Apple, where podcast episodes release there every Friday and Monday. Have a great weekend, enjoy the fights, and I will see you in the next video.